what I'm doing now is I am creating a new project folder in my exam so that um, my yeah, so I'm creating a new folder over there. Okay. So in here, I'm creating an index.php page, in which I have over here. Okay. As I said, today I'm going to do things a bit differently than I normally do. That is, today I'm going to see if I can walk through the code with you and then see how I can build a particular application whilst we are all here having a look at it. And then I will send you the codes for you to go through on your own. There are things in which we've done repeatedly, but today I just want to make sure I hammer down on some of these few things so that you guys can have a total view of everything we've been doing so far. So the first thing I'm going to do without me doing anything is I have to create a database. You see, I have to connect my data into or put my data into a particular database. Again, we've done most of these already, but if I want to create a database, I can just go and simply click on the home button, the database button, and then type the database name in which I want here. But for today, I am not going to do that. I'm going to click on the SQL button. And instead of me clicking to create my database, I would use a script to create my database. So over here, I'm going to create a database and I'm going to call the database in which I'm going to create user collection. So I have a database called user collection. And then in here, I'm going to use user collection. So I'm going to put the table users inside the user collections. Is that okay? Now,
like a lot of people don't even.
please let's take note that everything we say, people can hear. So if you are not muted, don't be saying things. So over here, again, I can create this database and table. So I'm creating this database and I'm creating a table. The table will have ID, first name, last name, email, and then the ID would be this, and it will be auto increment. So I can just come down here and click on Go, and simply by clicking on Go, I've created a database called user collect. So when I click here, I can see I've created user collect. In there, I can see a table called users. And then I have my information here. I click on structure and I can see I have a structure of a database over here. So that's fine. I have a database. I've created a database. The question is, on my form here, I must be able to connect to the server that I have created the database at. Hence, I must write a database connection string to connect me and my database, or a database connection between me and the database. And when I say me, I mean the form I am dealing with. So in here, I'm going to create a file, a brand new file, a new file. And I'm going to call this file I'm creating db.php. And then in here, I'm going to start my PHP tag and write the connection to the database. So I am connecting myself to the database. Now, to connect myself to the database, I require something. I require the server name. I require the username. I require the password. I require the database that I want to connect name also. So without these things here, I cannot connect to the database. In my case, my database is locally hosted, hence the server name of it is localhost. The username of my database is root. How do I know my database username is root? When I come here and I click on home, I can see that at the top here, I have databases, SQL, status, user accounts, export, import, settings, and so on and so forth. When I click on user accounts, I can see that in there, it tells me the usernames of this account. I can see PMA, root. That means that if the host name is localhost, I can connect either using PMA or root, but PMA has no access being granted to it. Hence, if I use PMA, I will have no access to anything in my database. Hence, I use root because root has total access to my what? Database. Then my password is nothing. As we can see in here, we can see that the password for this is no. Of course, if I go and then edit it and give it a password, I will have a password now. But it means that there are some configurations I have to do in my XAMPP for me to be able to access it. Hence, because I don't want that trouble right now, I will leave it empty. If I give space here, it means the password is space. It must be what? Empty. That is, they must be together. The database name is user collect. Now, when I come in here, I have collected the data that I require to connect to the database. So now I must connect to it. So I'm creating a variable, and this variable here will collect the connection I am creating. So I have my and then in here, I can put in the username. Sorry, the server name, the username, the password, and the database name that I created. Let us note that I created them. That means that every time the pattern in which the information is entered here is server, user, password, and then database. Meaning the order they are in here is the order they should be. The order they should be. Are there any questions till this point? Are there any questions till this point? Okay. If there are no questions, I have to enter a particular user's information into the database. Hence, inside my index, I am going to type in the basic structure of a HTML page. And then I'm going to type in the code for a form. Now, I am going to start this. That's no problem. So localhost / API div. And then in here, I have the form I created. You will realize that the form I just created, it has first name, last name, and email. Why do I not have the ID? I don't have the ID because we said that the ID in user collection is going to be auto increased. So if it's going to be auto increased, there is no need for me to enter the detail for the ID. Now, the information here, I want to collect the information here using JavaScript. So I need to tell the computer that I want to create a JavaScript file called main.js. Sorry. And then in here, I want to create this file here, the main.js file on the side here. And then in here, I want to invoke the DOM by saying document.getElement via ID. And what element inside this place do I want? What element do I want? I want the form ID here. So I'm getting the element that has the name form. And I'm going to put this in a variable in which I'm going to call form details. Now, why or what will this piece of code here do for me? This piece of code here will go into this section here, look through everything here using the ID, and it will locate the ID that has user form and bring back the element that it finds. And in this case, the element that has the ID user form is the form element. So it means that in here, I will have the tag called form. Okay, now I'm going to tell the computer that the tag called form, I want you to listen to the tag called form. Just listen to it. And the question here is, what is the computer listening to? Or what action does the computer require from the event listener? It requires that it listens to it until it hears that it is trying to submit itself. That means that on my page where I have this, the moment I click this submit button, it's going to submit the entire form. So when the computer gets to know that the individual wants to submit the entire form, then it should perform a particular action. Remember, in JavaScript, an action is in the form of a function. Hence, I must create a function, and then I must give a parameter called event to the function, or I can call it E if I want to, and then I will have the body of my function. So you can see that add listener here takes two things, the event and then the action that is supposed to be performed. In our case, the action here would do some few things. So in the two curly brackets, you can see that I can put the actions that I want to be performed over here. What do I want to perform first? I want the computer to go and take the event, that is the submission of the form, and prevent it from doing any of its normal default activities. Why? Because if I do not bring this code here, this code, the computer will act like it, the form will act like what it normally does. And I don't want that. I want it to stop everything it normally does and follow the instructions I am going to give it. And what instructions am I going to give it? I'm going to tell it that, okay, all the elements you have in the form that the person is filling, go and gather them all up and go and put all of them inside the object I am creating called form data. So this keyword is referring to the element, and the element is being referred to by the user form, and the user form is referring to the element form. So when you submit, all of the details here will be taken. And when they are taken, they will be presented here and turned into form data for me. So I am gathering all the form data. Every single thing in the form that will be collected. When it is collected, I want to do some specific things here. And here is very, very important for me. I want to fetch. And the question is, what am I fetching? The first question is the things I am going to fetch. Where am I taking it? Where am I taking it? I'm taking it to a place in which I'm calling create.php. Now, when you get to create.php, I want you to go and put some things in there. So in here is where I'm putting the request. It's like I'm posting something to you or through the Ghana Post or whatever. I must specify the destination, and then I must specify the package in which I am sending. So here I'm sending the package. Now the first question, what method am I using to send the package? I am using the post method to send the package. Okay, now what package itself am I sending? Now here, the body of the message, what am I sending? I'm sending the what? The form data that I collected at the top over here. So when I send the information over here, the next question that comes in is that, what should happen? So I have the then keyword. So when I send it, then what? Then if there is a response coming back, very key, from where I sent the message, I want you to take the response and turn the response that is coming back into what? Text. Now, I don't only want you to do that, but also I want you to then go to dot then, take the text that you have gotten and also go and display it in the console log screen for us. Now, if everything I'm saying doesn't go well, then catch it, and then show me the error on the console screen, and you are showing me the error by telling me that it is an error and that this is the what? Error. So you can see that this fetch goes with the then, and the catch. And in programming, we say that this is the fetch uses a promise approach to sending messages. That means that I am going to do this. And I promise that if it doesn't do it, then I'll do this. And if I can't do this, then I'll do this. Or if all of them won't work, I will catch whatever that doesn't work and then I will display it. But the idea is this, that I am sending the information. Again, let me repeat. This is the form. When you click submit, we will prevent it from doing its normal duties. Go and gather the information in the form. When we gather the information in the form, we will take that information to a place called create.php. When we get there, we'll package the information we gathered in the form as a post and send the information in the body of the message that we are sending using the post. That means that the information will go and land in create.php. So when the information gets here, what do I do? I have to create a connection to the database. Now, obviously, it means that all the code I have over here has to come over here. But ladies and gentlemen, if I have to do this for 1,000 pages, you can imagine how difficult that will be. And especially if I am building the application on my computer and I leave my computer to a server somewhere, it means that all the 1,000 pages, I have to go and edit the server name, username, password, and all of those information. Hence, I will not rewrite the code, but I'll just tell the computer to include the code I have at db.php. That means that all the code over here would be taken and brought to this page, hence including it for us on this page. Also, it means that when I one second. Also, it means that when I come to this page and I have something to change in my connection string, if I do it over here, every place that this is included will have that same effect. With that in mind, I can now write the code which follows over here. And what code follows over here? I need to create a variable called first name, and in here say my SQL underscore real underscore escape underscore string is equal to the connection in which I did. What did I even call the connection I did? I called it COON, comma, and $ underscore post. And then in here, I'll put in what? First name. Great. Okay, so now let's continue. The next point, I'm going to have last name being equal to MySQL escape connection, comma, $ this, and in here I'll put in what? Last name. And then finally, I'll have the same thing again, but this time here would be email, and over here would be email. Please, do you have any questions so far? Okay. Now, I have collected the information inside the form. That is, if someone comes and types this here, let's say John, here he comes to type Kwame. Over here, he says his email is john@gmail.com. When someone does this, and I click the submit button, the information that is stored in here, the John, the Kwame, all of them are saved in the name property that we have here. So if I want the information that has been saved in this place, it means that I have to go and look for the position that has the name, first name. Remember that in our code here, we said the method in which we are sending the data is post. That means that over here, if I want the information, I have to use post, and I have to use the name property that the person used to store the information. Now, when I take that information, I have to clean it. What does it mean to clean it? People are there who would come and type escape keys like this or like that or like this, things like this into my code. These keys can reveal some database information, delete something, set something up wrong, or make some information which is not correct appear in the page. Hence, I must remove all of these escape keys from there. In removing them, I would use this function here to do that. But this function has a response from the database. Hence, this structure in which I have over here. Yes, Samsung, what's your question? Someone has raised their hand. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir. This is Regina.
Okay.
My question has to, at the very beginning, I wasn't like, my network wasn't good. So I didn't see how you created a form. Is it that you are creating, you opening the folder on the XAMPP, the htdocs, or how is the folder created? That's the question I wanted to ask.
Regina, by this time you should know how to create a form. I just typed, oh, where you are is very, very noisy.
Yes, it's noisy because I'm going home. I went somewhere and I'm on my way. I mean, actually in the car. So when you started, my network was no good. So that's the reason. I didn't say I don't know how to create a form. I'm asking.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that the form, from the beginning of the class, I went to the htdocs, and in the htdocs, created a folder for APDiv called APDiv. These things, by now, we've done them repeatedly enough for you to know them. Once I did that, I
No,
created the
sir, I did.
I don't think I
Excuse
get
me,
you.
sir.
What is the problem?
What I was saying that is it, you know, I wasn't like, I did see the time you created a folder. So I was asking you went to the htdocs to create that folder, or
Yeah, of
you
course.
created
Yeah.
it on the normal VS Code. That's what I'm asking.
That, you see, what you
Okay.
just said is what I don't understand, because every folder that we create is supposed to be created in the htdoc because we are creating
Okay,
it in the
okay.
server. So when you ask
Thank
me,
you.
are we creating it in the htdocs or in the VS Code? The VS Code is there as the editor. So even if I didn't create it in the htdocs, I will still create it in the editor. Do you understand? So the editor is different. So that one is the editor. But the location of all our files will always be the htdocs. That is why I don't understand what you are saying.
Yes, sir. I understand it now. Thank you.
So once I get to this section here, it means that I have been able to collect the information that is with the individual in the form. Now I must push this information into the database. For me to push this information into the database, I require the SQL statement is equal to insert. So insert into the name of the table, which is users, and then the fields I'm inserting is the first name, comma, last name, comma, email, and I am inserting the following values. And what values am I inserting? I am inserting $ first name in double quote, in single quotes, $ last name, in single quotes again, I'm inserting $ email. Now, the question is that I have created the string that would send the information to the database. Now I must send it. So in here, I would say the result of me sending it is equal to my SQL I underscore connect. Oh, sorry, underscore query. And in here, I would take the connection string I created and then the SQL statement I created. This piece of code here is what is actually sending this thing here and the connection string from here to the database. Now, if it is successful, the value here would either be true or false. So I can say if result, then echo new record created successfully. Other than that, I can say else here, echo error and then tell the computer to add the MySQL underscore error that it found. from the DB. So in my form here, let's watch some things very carefully. I would right click and click inspect. In inspect, I'll go and click on console. I have nothing there. And I'll go and click on network. I have nothing there. I'll clear the network so that nothing shows over there. Okay? So in here, if I type in John Kwame, that, I am expecting that when I click submit here, so I click submit, the computer will tell me that I have left this page and gone to create.php. And you can see that it's telling me I went to create.php here. The response it got from create.php is that a new database has been created. That means if I go to console, I should see a new database has created. Why should I see a new database has been created in console? Because inside my code over here, I said that when you go and you get a response, I want you to take the response and put the response in what? Console. So it has done exactly what I am asking it to do. Now that it has done that, I want to also go back to network. We can see that in network, we have the payload. The payload tells me what information I sent. And the information I sent was first name John, last name Kwame, email john@email.com. Remember, I said it should package the information that is inside this form I have over here. The packaging comes from the name properties here. That means that here, if I use F name, I should see F name there. Because I used first name, that is why in here, I am seeing first name. It tells me where the information is coming from. And also, I can preview the response that I get. I know who initiated it. It was initiated by main.js on line 8. We can see main.js is the fetch command here. So this is the beginning of writing APIs, whereby you have an application that has the front end, the back end, and both of them are talking to each other using the fetch command and JavaScript. Are there any questions? Now, the only thing that is new in all of this is the JS files here. By now, you doing this should be easy for you. By now, creating a file, creating the database, using post, using get, putting the data where it's supposed to be, that whole back and forth should be easy for you. Now, the only difficult thing now is us using the fetch command to transfer the information. I am begging you. Your exams has this kind of setup in all of it. So I am begging you, please take your studies seriously. I am begging you. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, then we'll bring the class to an end, because the next portions we are going to do has to do with the designs we did the previous meeting. The previous meeting, we designed the interface. Now we are going to use the same method to call on the data and then do the back and forth. So I need you to use the rest of the class time to practice this and get it correct. To be honest with you, this is your assignment 2. That is, watch this video again, do exactly what you see here, send me a video of you explaining how it works, and you get 10 marks. That's how easy assignment 2 is. Now note, if you do not do this, your assignment 2 mark is 0. I would send you the video for this class. You have from now till our next meeting on Sunday to do this, just this, and send it to me and tell me how it works. That's all. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, thank you all for coming. We would meet again next week.